The fastest way to get below 20% body fat, no matter where you're starting from, is to focus on the 20% that drive 80% of your results. My name is Jules Vega, and I've worked with hundreds of people over the last 30 years, and I've been sub 20% body fat all that time as well. I've identified 3 things that nobody talks about for fat loss success, and I'm going to cover them in this video. If you ignore them, you probably won't be successful. What's the difference between people at the gym who are getting results and those who aren't? Do they have more willpower than you? No, they do not. I don't either. They're just better at managing the willpower they have. When you tie your fat loss success to willpower and you don't really understand what willpower is, you set yourself up for fat loss failure. Why? Because you don't always have willpower. Think of willpower like the battery on your phone. Every morning you start out with a full charge. You'll see why this is critical in number 2 and 3. As the day goes on, you use up your battery or willpower. There are many things that tax willpower that you don't even realize. For example, trying to stay off social media drains willpower. Avoiding junk food uses willpower. Restraining anger or negative thoughts depletes willpower. Taking a test or other deep work consumes willpower. Doing something you don't enjoy exhausts willpower. You make it through a tough day, and who can blame you for that late night snacking, which is the number 1 enemy of fat loss. To maximize your willpower to lose fat, make doing what matters most a priority, which leads to number 2, meal preparation. If you use the early hours wisely, you set yourself up for success the rest of the day. There are certain times of the day that you're vulnerable to low willpower. By meal prepping, you'll be able to mitigate those dips in willpower throughout the day. I'm usually up at 4:30. I cook and I prep food before heading to work. It doesn't have to be complicated. For example, you can prep oatmeal and a protein shake, chicken, frozen veggies, and a microwavable baked potato, Greek yogurt and fruit. That takes care of the dips in willpower because you have nutritious food available. Willpower and discipline work together. You'll be most disciplined when willpower is high. Over time, meal prep will become a habit, and then you don't need discipline or willpower, because once the habit is formed, it's hard to break. But what if you don't have time to meal prep early because you'd rather use the morning hours to go and work out? Meal prep after dinner when your willpower is high. You don't have to be a master chef to meal prep. In fact, you can do it the lazy way, using healthy prepackaged foods which are convenient and calorie controlled. I did a video on this which I'll leave on the end card, which leads to step 3, calorie tracking. Calorie tracking gets a bad rap because people do it wrong. If you're serious about getting to sub 20% body fat, you're going to have to track for a period of time until you know what a serving size looks like. The right way to track is to input the foods you are going to eat before you eat them. That's why meal prep is so important. If you try to track your foods after the fact, keeping calories in check becomes almost impossible. If you're starting at greater than 25% body fat, forget about creating a calorie deficit at this point because you've accumulated so much fat over time. Just focus on eating at maintenance calories at this point. This will actually put you in a deficit because you've been eating well over maintenance. Here's an easy way to find maintenance calories. If you weigh 250 pounds, multiply that by 13, that's going to give you 3,250 calories. But wait, you say, that's a lot of calories. Trust me, if you're at 40% body fat especially, you've been eating all of those 3,250 calories and then some. The problem is, if you're watching what you eat by tracking, you're probably going to be eating cleaner foods. So that's going to make you think that that's a lot of food and a lot of calories. It may be. No one says that you have to eat those 3,250 calories. That is just a maintenance point for you. If you end up eating way less than that, that's fine. Just make sure you don't get too crazy and eat like 1,000 calories less because you want to be in a deficit that much faster. Remember, it's just maintenance, but if you eat less, that's great. Once you get below 30% body fat, if you started out at say 250 pounds, that'll be somewhere between 200 and 220 pounds. Of course, it's hard to be exact on that, but this is a good ballpark. At that point, if you get stuck at a certain weight for several weeks, it means it's time for a diet break. Take your foot off the gas just a little bit. You want to eat above maintenance calories for a week. You want to do that using a multiplier of 15. If you weigh 200 pounds at the time, that's going to put you at around 3,000 calories. You may be shocked that at the end of that week, eating above maintenance you may have lost a couple of pounds. That's the power of a diet break. It resets your hormones, decreases diet fatigue, and you will probably see the scale start to move down again. If not, no problem. You're still in a good place. When you get back to creating a calorie deficit, you're going to be at sub 20% in no time. But obviously, this is not something that's going to take weeks. It's going to take months, may even take up to a year. You know that. I'd be lying if I told you different. Did you notice what I have not spoken about? I haven't spoken about strength training. We all know, hopefully you will all know, that strength training is crucially important when you're in a fat loss phase because muscle is your metabolism. You want to at least preserve or build some while you're in a fat loss phase. But if you're prioritizing your nutrition like you should, strength training is going to be more enjoyable because you're going to see your body fat decreasing, you're going to see muscular definition more, and it's going to just be fun to work out when you can actually see some muscles working. Neat. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Just basically all the activity during the day that you do, including steps. You're going to find you have way more energy and you're probably going to be taking a lot more steps because your nutrition is supporting your daily activity. Your sleep is going to be better once you have a handle on the nutrition piece because now your sleep will be auto-regulated because you won't have all these ups and downs with your blood sugar like you were in the past. Cardio, everybody's favorite for fat loss. It's not that I hate cardio. I just don't like cardio specifically for fat loss. Cardio is amazing for heart health. I do cardio for heart health myself, but I do high intensity intervals. I only do about 10 to 20 minutes at the end of a workout. Doing cardio when you're not in a calorie deficit, it's just doing nothing if you're trying to lose fat. But if you're paying close attention to your nutrition, now cardio becomes enjoyable. If you took anything away from this video, focus on the one thing, nutrition. And that's the fastest way to get sub 20% body fat. If you're not good at cooking or in the kitchen, watch this next to help you out. And as always, thanks so much for watching.